My name is Abby. I am a children's and teen librarian at Patchogue-Medford Library, and I teach all of our children's and teen sewing programs. Today, I'm going to teach you all of the basics so that you can learn from home. This is video part 1 of a 3-video series. In this video, I'm going to teach you the basics of how to sew safely and what all of the parts of the machine are. In video 2, we'll learn how to thread the machine, and in video 3, we'll learn about improv sewing, which we're going to be doing in some programs this summer. So check the description for videos 2 and 3. This is a sewing machine. This is how I start all of my children's and teen programs. And I always start them by saying this is a tool and not a toy, and it can be very dangerous. So one of the first things that we always learn is where to put your hands. Whenever you're holding fabric on the machine, you want your hands to be on either side of the needle plate. You don't want to have your hands right here. My machine is off right now. That's the only time that you can put your hands here, because even if you think that you're not going to step on that pedal, if it's on, you might, and you don't want to sew through a finger. That would be painful. So hands always here or here. And the second thing for safety is if you're sewing with pins, you always take your pins out before you get under the needle, because you don't want to sew over the needle and have a broken piece of needle fly up at you. Other than that, I'm going to show you all of the different parts of the machine and how it works. The basics of how the machine works. We have a presser foot here and what are called feed dogs down here. The feed dogs are kind of like little knobbly guys, and they, when you turn, we've got a knob right here. You always, by the way, top tip after the safety stuff, is this knob always goes away from you. So we'll turn this, and you can see those little feed dogs moving back and forth. They will pull the fabric back for you. So you have this needle, you saw it going up and down, and then you also have, this needle has some thread in it, and then you also have some more thread down here, and that's called the bobbin thread. So the top and bottom threads, they sandwich your fabric together, and that's how it works to actually hold the fabric together. Up here, we have a whole bunch of dials. This is your thread tension for the top thread, and this dial you really don't need to touch unless something is going wrong with your thread tension, if there's like loops or if it's bunching. In that case, you can try turning it one way or the other and see if that solves your problem. This is your stitch width. So on any of our stitches, these are the different stitches that you can sew with this particular machine. On any of our different stitches, this is how wide your stitch is. And this is our stitch length. Go back to this. I usually keep the stitch width at around 4 in the middle, and I usually keep my stitch length around 2.5 for most sewing. So this is just how long or short your stitch is. If you roll this all the way to the end, you see this SS. This is on this machine. I'm going to show you a couple other machines that are different, but on this machine, that SS corresponds to these stitches down here, and it stands for stretch stitch. So these are stitches that you would use for like stretchy fabrics. If you wanted to make a t-shirt, you might use one of these stitches. After that, we have so in order to use these stitches, you will use the stitch selector dial, and this will just change the number here, and you know which one it is based on the pictures here. I am just going to thread this really quickly, and I will slow this down in the next video and show you how to thread it yourself. So don't worry about trying to slow this down right now. I just want to show you how the machine itself works. Getting ahead of myself. Okay. So when you're sewing, you put your fabric underneath this presser foot, and there's always a lever back here. Sometimes it's back and on the side, sometimes it's on the very back of the machine, but you'll just hit that lever to put the presser foot down. That is the number one problem that I see with beginning sewers, is that they forget to put the presser foot down, and then they end up with a knot of thread underneath their fabric. So you put that presser foot down. The switch to turn it on is right here. And under my foot, I have a foot pedal. This works almost exactly the same way as if you are 16 or over, as your the pedal of your car might work. And if you're under, if you've ever driven a go-kart, the harder you press down, the faster it goes. So if you're just starting out, I recommend starting at a slow pace. And I'm just gonna let this go, and you can see it just sews by itself. I've got this set to 5, so it's sewing this stitch. I usually will sew 2, the straight stitch, for like most of my sewing. And you can see the machine just pulls by itself. To turn it, if you've got like a curve or a sharp turn, you'll just direct the fabric around. And if you want to make a really sharp turn, you can leave the needle down in the fabric, lift the presser foot up, and rotate it. And then don't forget to put the presser foot back down, and then you can sew farther. Sometimes here you'll feel the thread is a little stuck. If you turn this, this knob a little bit, it'll be looser. My other tip for beginning sewers right here is when you're pulling your thread out, you don't want to clip the thread like this, especially very close, because you've got these tight guitar strings and the machine is just going to suck the thread back up into it because of that tension. So you want like loose, wet noodles. And this machine, actually, I think most of them, has a little blade on the side that you can just use to snip, or you can use some of your scissors or thread snips. So those are the basics of how this machine works. This is a Brother ST371HD. This is the machine that we have in most of our sewing classes, and it's also one of the machines and very similar to the other 2 machines that are in our Library of Things. So shameless plug, check out our Library of Things. You can borrow one of these from it. And I'm going to show you a couple of other machines. So this one is a modern machine. It basically tells you all of the, it's got like hints about everything. Some machines are more complicated than this one. Some machines are computerized. I do have a computerized machine to show you. And some machines are even simpler and don't have all of the little hints. So this is this machine, and generally how to use a machine to sew. You can check back in our second video of the series. We're going to learn how to thread this machine, and I'll show you 2 other machines and how to sew with those.